Today is a grape dessert salad. Now that's grape, G-R-A-P, not G-R-E-A-T, so I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm starting with two different colors of grapes. You can use any kind. I would suggest seedless because they're easier to work with. And then the other thing that I think is really important, no matter what age, is that you cut them in half. The reason for that is I cut them in half the long way because grapes are usually longer one direction than the other. So cut them in half the long direction, and that way you really reduce the potential for choking. So that's just a food safety tip. But I've got green seedless and black seedless. You could use whichever kind of seedless grapes you have, all of one or all of another. And if you can't get seedless, then feel free to use the others and just make sure you get the pits out of them because they do have a bit of a bitter flavor to them. What I'm doing here is I've got 2 ounces of soft Neufchatel cheese, which is basically reduced fat, 1/3 reduced fat cream cheese. And I'm trying to soften it up just a little bit, and I think we're pretty well close to where I need it to be. And to that I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. Now, you can use a reduced fat version if you want to. This salad is really sweet, and the fat content here helps counteract that a little bit. You can also cut back a little bit on the sugar, but it's one of those things where the combination of the two is kind of what makes it. So that's why some people would use this for a salad as in the main part of the meal, but I'm switching it to a dessert. Mixing those together, trying to make sure you get all the lumps out of the cream cheese and get them well blended. And then I'm going to stir in 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar and a 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla, so a very small amount of vanilla. Normally in something that's mostly white, I would use a clear vanilla. But for this kind of thing, because we're going to be adding some brown sugar in the grapes, it really doesn't darken it that much. It also has a pretty small quantity here. So for that reason, it's not so much of an issue as well. Just trying to get everything back in the bowl in one piece. Once those are well blended and you get as many of the lumps out as you can, then you're ready to add the grapes to it. So if you've had those prepared ahead of time, make sure that you pat them dry because you don't want water going in here that's going to dilute. So I've got 1 cup of dark grapes and 1 cup of green. So it's a total of 2, whichever kind you're planning to use. Blend those together. Get everything coated. Because this is a dessert, we want to kind of serve it in something a little bit fancy on occasion. So I've got a little cup here that we're going to put them into. But before I get quite to that stage, I also have 2 teaspoons of brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of toasted pecan pieces. You can use the pecans as big or as small as you want them to be. We're just going to blend those together a little bit. There's really no magic to that part of it. It's just get them all in the same bowl and stir them up because they're not hot at this point. And then we're going to add those to our little cup, put our dessert into it, and this whole recipe will make about 4 servings, so you can kind of decide when you divide it out. It should be about a 1/2 cup of grapes per person, and then a little bit of the brown sugar and pecan mixture over the top to give it some more texture and a little bit more sweetness. And then if you'd like, you could stick in a little bit of mint just as a garnish. And there you have it, grape dessert salad for Oklahoma Gardening. I'm Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.